Welcome back to my Bergara rifle series video. In this video I will show you 3 simple things that you can make to your Bergara rifle to make it even more accurate as it gets from the box. So the first thing is cleaning the surface on the internal chassis where the action is touching the internal chassis. The second thing is changing the trigger to a performance trigger. And the third thing is tightening the action screws to specs. Before proceeding, please make sure that your rifle is empty. To make things easier later in the process while installing the new trigger, I will remove the scope from the rifle. To remove the barreled action from the stock, you need a 4mm Allen key. Go here. So we have a short screw on the front. And a longer screw on the back. Now we can take off the bottom metal. Next thing, we just take out the barreled action. So, to remove the collar from the internal chassis, we will need some ear sticks, some color thinner, and something to pour in the color thinner. And then the process is really simple. You just put the stick in the color thinner, and then you have to remove all the color from this part, from this part, from this part here, and from this part here. You can see that I already done this, and you will see now how I have done this. It will take some time, especially at the beginning, for the color to start coming off, but eventually it will do. Don't try to sand these parts down with sandpaper because you can ruin the chassis. The next thing that you want cleaned is where the screws get in. You see it here. I didn't have to do much. It was almost cleaned. I just have to pass it a few times with the ear sticks. Here and of course in the back. So the next step we said is replacing the original trigger with the performance trigger. To do this you will need a 4mm punch rod and a hammer. Preferably a rubber one. Okay, so to remove it, you have to unlock it. And here on the first part, you just punch the pin out. In my case, this went really easy. And then you have the second pin to remove. That's it. Watch out because the original trigger is made of 2 parts, and you don't want to lose this in case that you want to install it back someday. As you should already know, Bergara actions, as you see here, are Remington 700 clones, so every trigger that's made for a Remington 700 will be good for a Bergara B14. I decided to go with the Bix & Andy trigger. I already have some Bix & Andy trigger on my other rifles, and I find them really good. The quality is, I don't know, it's really exceptional. Here you can see it's from 450 grams to 2000 grams, which is more than enough adjustability for hunting. I don't need it to be lighter than this for hunting. Of course, you can choose something else like a Trigger Tech or Timney or whatever you prefer, just to know that it needs to be a Remington 700 trigger. The trigger comes like this, and here you can find the bolt release for a Remington 700. For the Bergara we don't need this because we have the bolt release on this side here. To remove this, we need a Torx T6 screwdriver, and we just remove these two screws. Here and here. Remove this, and then we have two parts that needs to come out. Go. Okay, and then we don't need to put these screws back in. The trigger is ready like this. Installing the new trigger is pretty simple. We just need to watch out because these pins will only go in from one side, not from the other side, and the same is on the action itself. So also watch out because on the trigger itself it's written install front pin first. Okay, so now we need to turn the action around, and then we put in the trigger. The first pin we set goes first, and as you can see it's really simple. I just put it in by hand, and then it's the second pin. Again, it should be pretty simple, and here you might need a little bit of punching force. This is why I said use a rubber one, because with an iron one you can damage the action or the trigger. It's really easy. A few punches and you're good to go. If you need, watch out for safety. You don't want to ruin the safety. And if you need, you can use the punching rod to help it. You can easily see when it's all in, and then you're good to go. Here you can see that the trigger has an Allen screw on the bottom, which is the adjusting screw for the trigger, and you can easily adjust it also when it is mounted on the rifle. You don't need to put the barreled action of the stock. So once the trigger is installed, you're ready to put the action back together. And for this, we said that one of the things that will make this rifle shoot more accurately is torquing the action screws to certain specifications. Bergara recommends to torque them to 55-inch livers, and to do that you will need some kind of torque wrench. In my case, I use a fat wrench. It's probably not the best out there, but it does the job. Again, you will need a 4mm Allen key, and that's it. Now I need to set the torque screw to 55-inch livers we said. 50 and 55. That's it. Okay. Now I can take this, put in the bottom metal, and then we said small screw goes in the front. I will just torque it a little bit, and then the long screw goes on the bottom. And here I can start torquing in the action. I will torque it just a little bit. Lower one, upper one, and then I will give some punches as of recoil for everything to settle down. And now I can torque it to 55-inch levers. And that's it. So we have completed all the three things. We have cleaned the internal chassis, the lower parts where the bolts are touching the bottom metal. We have changed the trigger, and we have torqued the action screws to Bergara specifications. I would like to point out that this will not make a rifle shoot 1/4 MOA groups. It's not only this, there's more factors involved, some low development and other stuff. And of course, the most important factor is shooting skills of the shooter. But definitely this will improve a little bit the rifle accuracy. Some of you might ask yourself why I didn't do the bedding, at least of the front lug. And yes, I will do the bedding on the front of the front lug, but I would like you to know that doing this will void the warranty of your rifle. So if you don't want to risk this, don't do it. So this is it. The rifle is back together. Now I can go on a shooting range and try all these things out. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe so you will not miss my future creations. And thanks for watching, and see you next time.